The Western Finals are turning into a heavyweight brawl. The Spurs landed the latest blow. Wemby had 28 points in a 118-91 rout of the Thunder that forced a Game 7 in Oklahoma City tomorrow. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was held to just 15 after he dominated in Game 5. Who is going to land the knockout punch? Three-time NBA champ Danny Green joins us now. Okay, so what stood out to you about how the Spurs forced a decisive Game 7?
Well, Wemby was Wemby. You know, he's the guy that we expect him to be. He showed up, protected the rim, knocked down shots, knocked down threes, got more paint touches, got to the rim, and then the others followed. Like, I got to give a lot of credit to those guys, Devin Vassell and Dylan Harper. They came out ready to play, not only on offense but defense. You know, Dylan Harper got downhill, he got to his spots, created some havoc, got to the paint, made sure the defense collapsed some, kicked out. They got some swing action. Devin Vassell gets a wide open look. This is how you get your shooter going, right? Get him a wide open look at the top of the key to kind of start the game, and this kind of got him in a rhythm and a flow. And not only did his offense carry over to defense on the floor. Like, he got active, he got back in defense, rotated, blocked Chet shot, gave him a little chest bump. Also had a play in transition where he deflected the ball and challenged SGA at the rim as well. Right here again, Stephon Castle getting to the paint, swinging to Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper doing what he does best, getting into guys' bodies, using that big shoulder, shooting over the top. This is the guy that was aggressive in Game 1. We haven't seen much of it since the injury in Game 2, but he's starting to get back more into the rhythm. Hopefully it carries over because we want to see the San Antonio Spurs advance with Wemby in the Garden if those guys play like they did in Game 6.
Yeah.
In the second quarter, the Spurs were playing with incredible emotion, like bordering on bubbling over. Just because you could tell the passion, their crowd was into it. They were, they don't like the Thunder. They got, Carter Bryant is throwing blocks in the back, and Devin Vassell is trash talking up Chet Holmgren's face and all this stuff. And I thought the Thunder, as is their style, completely maintained their composure and just slowly got some stops and methodically got back into it. McMahon, I don't know about you, I did not see a 20-0 run coming in the third quarter.
No. And like you said, the Spurs shot the lights out early on, and I think and OKC had a chance to make it a one-possession game there at the end of the second quarter, but still, a single-digit game going into halftime, considering how hot the Spurs were shooting the ball early on. The Thunder went into the locker room feeling pretty good. They might as well have just stayed in the locker room, though, because they got completely just dominated and humiliated in the third quarter. And this is the second straight time that they've had a really poor offensive performance here in San Antonio. That's part of it. Shai is in statistically the worst shooting funk over these last 4 games that he's had since he's
Shai's in hell.
Yeah, Shai's in hell.
In hell.
And
Stephon Castle and Victor Wembanyama have put him in hell. They can call it Area 51. I call it hell.
I was going to say, Area 51, hell. It ain't a place.
That's a good slogan for it. They should steal that from you, man.
It ain't a place that's fun to be.
No,
I
it's
asked
not.
him about it, and he basically said, hey, I'm taking shots that I've been taking. Essentially said, at this point, I got to trust my work. I got to trust my game. I got to trust who I am. It's too late in the season to try to change and, live and die by it. But they need a bounce back game from Shai in Game 7. And quite frankly, I don't know if Jalen Williams, J-Dub, should be on the floor in Game 7.
That's a real conversation that I want to have in a second. Let's focus more on the game, but the whole theater around him playing. I thought that the Spurs checked the boxes tonight. And what I mean by that is they didn't put the Thunder on the line, which, by the way, the Spurs have way more free throws in this series than the Thunder.
As did the Lakers in the last series.
Right. Coming into this game, the Thunder were 11th in free throws per game out of the 16 playoff teams. But really, when it says don't put guys on the line, it really means not put Shai on the line.
Shai took 3 free throws tonight.
Right.
And he was 6 of 18 from the floor.
And I didn't feel like it wasn't like, I thought the Carter Bryant play was a 15-yard penalty in Texas, but I was a little surprised that wasn't a flagrant. It wasn't like the officials were. I didn't feel like they were letting the Spurs commit hand.
If the Spurs are allowed, there's all this talk about how the Thunder play defense. The Spurs do the same thing. And if the Spurs are allowed to be physical they have an advantage because their guys are huge and athletic and fast and big and strong. And like, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying like you, I didn't think the game was poorly officiated, but if the game is going to be called in a way where both teams can be physical, that's an advantage for the bigger, stronger team, which is what the Spurs are.
My only issue with the officiating was really a pretty short crew. I mean, an extremely short crew.
Jesus Christ.
A couple guys who were 5 foot single digits out there. But no, the officiating was not a factor in this game. The Thunder shot 37% from the floor, 25% from 3-point range. You're not going to win games doing that. And then, the Spurs, they cooled off, but like they came out lighting up. But dude, the Thunder scored 13 points in the third quarter. There was a 20-0 run in the third quarter. That's when this game just
disappeared. Mm-hmm.
By a couple minutes left in the third quarter, I'm booking a flight to get back to OKC.
It was a lot like Game 4, where, I mean, Game 4 really got away in the final minute of the first half and then the start of the third quarter. This game, it was the third quarter. I mean, it was the same thing. You get to halftime, you're thinking, man, in Game 4, it was through 23 minutes. Through this game, it's through 24 minutes, thinking, hey, the Spurs are kind of all over the place. They're a young team playing with a lot of emotion. You could see it throughout the game, and Brian mentioned that in group chat. I thought he was right. Like, the Spurs were running hot, which sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. And the Thunder seemed...
It's not always good in the second quarter.
Well, no, but I just mean like their emotion, they're an emotional team, and they tend to ride that positively a lot of the time, but sometimes it can get the better of them. But the Thunder seemed cool, calm, and collected and in a pretty good place going into halftime. And like you said, McMahon, they came out in the third quarter and just got absolutely trucked.
Got to see how Game 7 plays out. Could Victor Wembanyama be the conference finals MVP and the Thunder advance to the finals?
I haven't thought about that.
You're the voter, not us.
I at this point, I think it's a serious consideration. Maybe Shai comes out.
What if Caruso has a big Game 7?
Yeah, Caruso right now, if the Thunder win, Caruso would be my selection for. I'll say this. I think Caruso's been the Thunder's MVP in the series. Victor's clearly been the best player in the series. Now, could Shai come out and have just a masterpiece of a Game 7 and wipe away everything I just said? Absolutely. But I depending on how Game 7 plays out, I could see the Spurs going home and Wemby having an MVP trophy as a consolation prize.
I'm sure he'll be very excited about that.
I mean, I voted for Jimmy Butler a couple of years ago when he lost in a series. Got a lot of grief for it.
I remember that. So you remember that, McMahon?
I gave him hell for it.
Yes, you did.
That was when he had that 46 points in Game 6 in Boston, right? And then they came down to Miami and they almost blew it at the end. I think there was a 3 in the air.
Yeah, Jimmy took that 3 on the wing.
Yeah. But like midway through the fourth quarter, I'm sitting with Bontemps and he's like, hey, what do you think about me voting for Jimmy? I was like, hey, man, you do you.
I could understand if somebody voted for Victor. I mean, I think a lot of this, to me, will probably, like you said, come down to this Game 7. I mean...
Yeah, we should probably watch 48 more minutes at least.
Yeah, but I would say going into Game 7, it's a valid thing. Like, when you look at how disrupted Oklahoma City's offense is whenever Victor's on the court, it's hard for me to say that it's not something you should do. And again, like Shai hasn't been that good. I'm with you. I think if Oklahoma City wins and Caruso plays well, barring some insane performance from Shai, I would vote for Caruso because he's been incredible, particularly in the wins in the series. But I could understand if somebody voted for Victor.
Well, and look, Shai has been under 40% from the floor in 4 straight games for the first time, really, since he's established himself as a star, right? And that's, to me, that's a stat that is indicative of Wemby's dominance on the defensive end. Like, Wemby's got a lot to do with that. Shai will tell you, hey, I'm taking shots that I take all the time and make all the time. He's not
there
getting
may
a
be
lot of clean
some
looks.
of that.
He's not. Even some of the shots he hit tonight, there's one he hit over Carter Bryant when it was great defense, and he just
he hit one shot over the top
shot.
of Victor with him all over him. It was an impossible angle, and he made it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you look at the way they're playing, right? He's either got Dylan Harper, who's big, long, and fast on him. He's got Stephon Castle, who's big, long, and fast on him. He's got Carter Bryant, who's even bigger, longer, and faster on him, even though he's a rookie and still makes plenty of mistakes. And then, oh, by the way, sometimes Victor gets switched on to him.
Well, or if he can slip by those guys, Victor's waiting back there.
I mean, there's somebody coming at him all the time, and he is not, he has not looked the same guy that he's always been. It's a credit to the defense the Spurs have played, and they're relentless, and it's the same thing we saw in the regular season. Their positional size across the board really gives the Thunder a lot of trouble, and it sort of negates the thing the Thunder are always able to do, which is just like outspeed and like react everybody, because these guys are bigger and just as fast at a lot of spots.
Well, and the Thunder are without their second and third best creators, and I'm going to say they're without Jalen Williams right now. Like
hold on to that for a second. One thing